Oskar. Welcome to the fourth edition of Nordic Data Science and Machine Learning Summit here in Stockholm. We're very glad to have you and DataRobot as a partner today. Before we go on, can you please tell us a bit more about yourself and your background?
Sure. First, thanks for having us.
Of course.
It's fun to be here. And there's a lot of smart questions from a lot of talented people here. It's the right place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Hope to come back next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Oskar Eriksson. I've been working as a data scientist in a couple of different capacities for the past 6 years. And I've had the pleasure of working with many different customers and with many different use cases. So ranging from the Middle East and Africa up to parts of Europe and the United States, I've helped customers to solve predictive modeling use cases, machine learning use cases of any type really. And also I had the pleasure of dabbling with a bit of research on implementing machine learning within forecasting.
So the theme of today is towards human-centered data and AI innovation. And as we know, data science and AI are changing the world today. Can you give us some interesting examples of turning data into action, and how does your organization excel in this area?
Well, we have a number of public references on customers that are using our platform and working closely with us to achieve something, right? And what's important is to start with use cases and not with data. For example, domestic in general in the UK, they had trouble, as many others, with churning customers. So what they did is that they took a couple of 100,000 customers and they used DataRobot to study them and find what was driving churn, what was the root cause of it. And with that, they would identify that they needed to change their pricing strategy, which really changed their business and moved the profit margin on this subset of customers from 1.5 to 4%. So that is one example of where you can be creative with data science and really add a difference to the bottom line. Other than that, we helped Reckitt Benckiser, who are big within the hygiene and cleaning sphere. And they are now with DataRobot able to work 26 times faster in their forecasting model building, meaning that they can forecast 26 times as many different products from their shelves. Which of course makes a lot of difference to them. Other than that, Sky, the network in the UK also, have been using DataRobot to plan their storage of where they keep their streaming services. And that has led to a cost reduction of 40% in storage. So there's a lot of cases in practically every industry really. But as I said, the key component of achieving that is to first start about what are the use cases that we should work with to really make an impact. Later worrying about issues like data quality or the technology side of it.
So some relevant use cases, as you said. So from your perspective, what are the biggest and most common hinders and challenges that organizations face when it comes to data science and AI? And what are the implications of not solving these challenges?
That we could sit here for a while, right?
Yeah, a whole day.
I hope you have nothing planned for later, because this could get me started well.
The list goes on.
Where do I start? But as we talked about, start with use cases and working your way from there on how to solve it. That's really also how you engage the business side and not only the data science people or the software developers from the beginning. So you get everybody on board on what needs to be done. Other barriers are strictly organizational or soft issues. There's a lot of examples where some skilled people have built some very smart models solving complex issues, but then it simply doesn't play out in the organization because they haven't planned for it in advance. There may be some people who need to get another job description to be in charge of, for example, machine learning put in production or what it may be. And also there's a general need for more knowledge on exactly how this is working. that's a couple of hinders, but as I said, we could sit here for a
Of
while.
course. So for those organizations that have started their journey with data science and AI, what would be your recommendation for speeding up the process of turning data into insight and action?
To speed up the process of turning it to insight and action, you first don't worry so much about the data quality issues. You need to have good enough data, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And you also need to make sure that you are targeting the use cases with the highest value, but also the highest feasibility, so that they are easy to do and that they will generate value. That way you also enable trust in the organization to work with this. Aside from that, it's very little about technology now. I would say it has never been about technology. It's more about making sure that you organize in advance so that the people in your organization are supposed to consume the models and be more efficient because of the model you built, actually understand what they're doing. Because if they don't, then they are unlikely to do that. And then you have just been performing science and you haven't really changed anything. And a data scientist can cost quite a bit of money to just have them build models and not really getting anything done by the end. It's going to be a costly affair.
Yeah. The reality.
I mean, if you're just costing money and you're not getting anything done, then eventually your job might be threatened,
Of
I guess.
So let's talk about the benefits then. On the other hand, like how AI and data science are transforming the operations of companies. So what's your opinion on that?
I think it's necessary, and it's really one of the tougher issues when you work with this. It's just that to not just take a manual analog process and make it sort of digital and intelligent, but to rather take a step back and think about what is the problem we're trying to solve, try to frame it in an intelligent way, and identify how you could change your organization to be even more effective working with this. I would say, for example, that the example I gave with Domestic in General in the UK, the insurance company, they did really transform their operations because they needed to change their pricing model based on insights from a data science project.
Right.
I think that's a pretty fair example. Also within forecasting, when you want to predict how many future products that you need to distribute to your stores or whatever it may be, any type of forecasting issue that has historically to some extent been done manually. It takes a lot of time and effort, and it's not really accurate enough. So that's also a way of transforming it. It also, of course, when you're working with automating stuff, which this is really what it's all about. This is what it's down to. Yeah, you could call AI automation instead. I wouldn't mind. That is that you're able to provide some services online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Something that was perhaps not easy before. Travel agencies have seen this for a while.
Yeah. So, Oskar, one last question. When it comes to data science and AI, from a technology point of view, what can we expect in the next 1 to 2 years?
I hope that people will spend less time worrying about technology. I believe that us technology vendors will perhaps we will make the platforms and the technology sort of take care of itself, and then the people working with it will do something that requires a bit more intelligence. More philosophical issues like, are we working with the right type of data? Do we have a representative data set for the population we want to deal with later? And how to make sure that those problems are solved, and also working with implementing it in the organization. So that's what I believe that I see at the moment, that the technology will take more care of itself and people will do something more useful with their time.
Sure, great. That's so thank you, Oskar, for being part of the Nordic Data Science and Machine Learning Summit today, and thank you for doing this interview with me today. And we're pleased to have DataRobot as one of the partners in the summit.
No pleasure.
Thank you.